We just had a show going for the last couple of minutes, and I realized we weren't live.
You missed a solid rant.
So-
Solid rant.
Jennifer can't be with us. She got sick from
Yeah.
people not wearing their masks, and
Wear your mask. Don't go to work sick. Dismantle capitalism.
yeah,
I'll just do the cliff notes of what I just said before.
Okay.
Dismantle capitalism.
Dismantle capitalism. Speaking of capitalism, there are these crypto bros called the Spice DAO. DAOs are
Decentralized Anonymous Organization.
So these guys bought Jodorowsky's Dune Bible by Jean Giraud, aka Moebius. They decided that they were going to make an animated movie out of it for the other 2.2 million out of the 6 million total they took out from their organization for this.
Yeah.
They do not have the rights. They don't own the IP. They can't do it. So now the dumb fucks, you can read more about it on the Vice article, Crypto Bros Stupid Purchase. Just Google that, you'll find it. Fuck, we just missed a lot of content that I've been ranting about for the last.
Well, and they overpaid for it, right?
Yes, it was valued at 30,000. They paid 2.6 with taxes and everything. It went over 3.8. Again, this is crazy. So now they're talking about scanning it, making NFTs, and burning the book. Also making an NFT of them burning the book.
It is already scanned, by the way. You can find it quite easily.
Yes, and had Jodorowsky's Dune when it released, they made the book available as a collectible to buy for $300 to $400. I would have been one of the jackasses that would have bought it and had it sitting on my coffee table, just daring people to start thumbing through it.
Yeah, I think Jen has a good point there in the chat.
Yeah. They still can't do that because they don't own it.
Yeah, so many reasons. It was like, like canon wise, it's supposed to be like thinking machines take over, but like I think it could just be getting pissed off at crypto bros at this point. I think that makes way more sense. It's way more plausible as a beginning to that.
And also, you missed a really cool intro when it started because apparently I didn't hit the live button or didn't hit it enough times for it to go because I'm a fucking idiot.
This is actually the origin of the Butlerian Jihad. This stream didn't go.
Yeah.
I'll smash my computer if I'll do it.
No, then I'll turn into something from Zoolander where it's like, it's in the computer. How can they go to school if it's so tiny? The stupidity of these people, and you'd think, I guess you don't have to be smart to make money from crypto.
No, that's the scariest thing about capitalism is you don't have to be smart. Sometimes it seems like being smart is a detriment to you making money.
Although Bitcoin bottomed out the other day.
Yeah, well, Oh, solid.
God. It was long overdue. So my sonny killed the machines. Justin, I'm also mad at you for having a Frank Miller Daredevil and not inviting me.
Oh, rude.
Shame. Usually I can't make those shows, but I happen to have been off that day. But
you can still make him feel guilty about it, though.
He won't. He's been catching shit all day from John's comics.
Yeah, I saw that.
People. Yeah.
I've been following the drama.
John's been moody ever since he read Witches.
Look, not all Scots are awesome. I'm sorry.
It became his villain story. He started trying to fix my bathroom drain. And I just hear this incessant pinging. I'm like, what the fuck is going on? I look over and it's John going, I hate this book. What am I missing? It's a 0 out of 5. That's what it is. I hate Scott Snyder. And I'm just like, John, I don't want to insult you by ignoring you, but I literally have my elbow deep down a drain, trying to fix it. He's like, okay, I just need to let you know how I feel. I was just, and then Jen posted the next morning, this is John's villain origin story. And I was just like, that's good that John got his Tom King.
Yeah.
I've had Tom King as my villain for a while now. He's got Scott Snyder. He went for the teacher. I have the student.
I don't read enough of any creator I don't care for to have a villain origin story. So I kind of envy you for like getting to have like a full experience, even when it is a destructive and painful one.
I started hate reading in like D-Comic Queen. I did a whole live stream just bashing whatever the I can't even remember. It was so bad. The something crisis.
Heroes in Crisis.
Heroes in Crisis.
Yeah, they definitely got some shit.
I spent like an hour and a half with her just trashing it. Yes, Jen can't stand Rick Remender, and boy, Black Science. She had a real theory that it's basically him coming to grips cheating on his wife in real life. I was like, wow, that's a reach, but okay. Yeah,
this is why the artists are the real heroes, because
I think
all of the art in those books look beautiful.
I think we always have like a writer that like can put out some decent stuff, and then at the same point you're just like, oh man, like what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, Stephen King would probably be my literary one. Like he'll have books that have like very good premises, and then they make fun of it in the It movie. He can't fucking stick a landing to save his life at the end. Like he just, and boy, oh boy. I mean, my favorite thing ever was his talking about directing Maximum Overdrive, where he's just like, I am so high on cocaine during it. I don't even know who let me direct it.
Yeah, he definitely needed some blow.
It was just like, wow.
He 80'd hard. He 80'd hard.
Well, In Search of Darkness, which was this 80s horror documentary that they have like 3 parts of, one of them they're showing like the commercials he had for it, and his eyes are bugging out like a Tex Avery character. He's so on blow. Like it's insane. And then like Tom Atkins is telling a story on Creepshow where he had just smacked Joe Hill, because Joe Hill's in it as
that's right. He's
the little kid in Creepshow.
He's the little kid. That's right.
And Stephen King goes, hey, I need to talk to you about something. And Tom Atkins is like, oh, it's about me smacking his kid. Like, it's not real. He goes in real close. He goes, what was it like making out with Jamie Lee Curtis in The Fog? Like,
I mean, I might ask the same question if I'm being real. Like,
and then Dreamcatcher, he's riding that high off his ass on Oxycontin after getting hit by that car.
Yeah, right. The car accident.
I mean, it's the only way you can come up with a shit weasel.
Shit weasel is a hell of a flex. That's something.
Yeah, because he's like, I can't shit from these opioids. Like, oh my god. Yeah, I know we're going fucking way off the ramp already.
Before I didn't get a hold up, since we weren't live, I didn't get a hold up my cool Moebius books.
True. Yes.
There you go. And, I just wanted to do that. A little shelf porn for you.
Moebius, if you have not gotten or seen it, the cover for the Silver Surfer, I forget what the fuck it was called.
I have it right here.
Oh.
Because I'm a surfer simp. Wait,
I'm sure this worked out well. Did you go on John's show yet, the Comic Warriors, or is that coming up?
Oh, that's next. That's Monday. Oh, good. I can't find it. Yeah, that doesn't bode well for the show. Well, anyway, I won't hold us up anymore. I did want to point out this one because we were talking about the Dune pitch book document that the Crypto Bros bought.
Yes.
So this is a Moebius collection that Epic put out in the 80s. And it features a story, The Long Tomorrow, that Moebius did with Dan O'Bannon, who you would know as the screenwriter of Alien. And also, Dan O'Bannon worked on that film. And
Return of the Living Dead.
Yeah, Return of the Living Dead. And anyway, The Long Tomorrow is sort of a proto Blade Runner, too, when you look at it.
Silver Surfer
came out in the late 70s. Yeah, Parable, that's it. But if you can dig this up, which it's hard to find Moebius stuff now, because even though Dark Horse made a big announcement a couple years ago about we're gonna release the complete library, They really just put out Adina and then Inside Moebius, and then. But
you
someday maybe they'll put this out.
You can find a lot of the old epic books on eBay fairly cheapish. Was it Blueberry?
Blueberry. I just got a Blueberry that's in Spanish at my local Cosmic Monkey. So I can't read it, but it looks beautiful. So
I remember picking that up, and Blood the Last Vampire, where my mom didn't know what it was. I was like, it's an adult book, but I think it's cool for me to read because it's adult. I'm an adult, and I was like 11.
That Descendants song plays.
Reading it.
Yeah. I'm an adult now. Go find that song, everybody. It's great.
The Descendants with their like 23-second song. Oh,
yeah. It's only that one's like a minute, so it's like an epic. All right, should we talk about Dune?
Yes, we shall. We start with the lament for Leto II.
Yes.
One small bird has called thee from a beak streaked crimson. It cried once over Siege Tabor or Tabor, and thou went forth unto funeral plain. What does it mean? Nothing. Literally, this is like the gibberish. This is beyond even like Irulan.
Yeah, well, I did forget that we find out who the author of some of these quotes are. I totally forgot that, but we'll get to that.
I forgot too, and it made me go,
oh,
Leto's even more of an asshole than I remember. I used to think of him as a sympathetic character. Not anymore.
Yeah, I think you would be dissuaded of that by the end of this book.
So Leto is awakened to the tinkle of water rings, and I'm like thinking they say tinkle as like, I gotta go to the bathroom. I've been in the spice haze for like days now.
Oh yeah, he's way wasted. He's like day 3 of Coachella, just like fucked up.
The 5th day of Burning Man.
Yeah.
He's doing a weird thing here. He's like, oh, I see Sabia sitting here, and he saw her outlined by all that his vision revealed about her. She was 2 years past the age when most Fremen women were wed. Or at least betrothed. She's a spinster.
Uh-oh.
Dark hair, pale skin, deep sockets, which gave her blue eyes a greenish cast. She had a small nose and a wide mouth above a sharp chin.
It's like an anime character, basically.
Kind of, yeah.
So he's describing.
His captors knew the plan about them trying to wed him.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's hearing the tinkle of her hair.
Yeah.
And oh boy.
Here we go. You ready for this?
So she's mixing some.
Are you ready for this, America?
She's making some more spice essence. And she wipes his mouth with the hem of her robe because Sabia. He's recalling this vision which filled his heart with pain. Many nights have I dreamed beside the open water, hearing the wind pass overhead. Many nights my flesh lay beside the snake's den, and I dreamed of Sabia in the summer heat. I saw her storing spice bread baked on red-hot sheets of plasteel. I saw the clear water in the Quanat, gentle and shining, but a storm wind ran through my heart. She sips coffee and eats. Her teeth shine in the shadows. I see her braiding my water rings into her hair. The amber fragrance of her bosom strikes through to my innermost senses. She torments me and oppresses me by her very existence. Cringy.
Talk about
the pressure of his multi-memories exploded the time-frozen englobement which he had tried to resist. He felt twining bodies, the sounds of sex, rhythms laced in every sensory impression, lips, breathing, moist breaths, tongue. Somewhere in his vision, there were helix shapes, cold-colored, and he felt the beat of those shapes as they turned within him. A voice pleaded in his skull, please, 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 please. There was an adult beef swelling in his loins, and he felt his mouth open, clinging to the girder shape of ecstasy. So we've gone to beef swelling to girder.
Beef swelling. Yeah, and I looked this up, and all I could find is that it is connected to this book. So I believe that Frank Herbert coined a term here with beef swelling. And also, I think I posted in our group chat, if you haven't read Mark Russell and Steve Pugh's Flintstones, there's a character in one of the issues that's going around saying, if you don't do what I say, I'll punch you in the beef.
Yes.
And so I really think Mark Russell took that, if nothing else, from the Dune books. That's what I'm just going to guess. And maybe we should ask him the next time I see him somewhere, because he lives in Portland. So I could probably run into him somewhere.
So
Beef.
like literally I read it, I stopped, I screenshot it, and I was like,
yeah,
all right, guys, we got to talk about this shit, because like this
is my sticky note. 3 exclamation points.
So like I sent the text and I was like, has anybody else heard this term used? And of course I went and Googled it, and it was like, used by Frank Herbert in Children of Dune.
Yeah.
And I was like, I wonder if like he was typing his wife, like, do you want beef Wellington? He goes, beef Swellington? Yes.
Goes to his notebook, fiercely writes down.
Yeah, like, or maybe, I don't know. Like,
do you think he fought for that? Like, I mean, because he was writing this still for, I think, for Analog, or maybe it was a different magazine at the time. Do you think?
I believe it was
editor?
Analog. I just see the editor going, I don't know what. You know what? It's a magazine. Maybe this is how we have to do it.
Hey, Sheena.
Hey, Sheena. Hi.
Yeah.
You came just in time as we're talking about beef swelling.
Don't want anybody to miss out on that.
This is the strangest term for a fucking hard-on I've ever heard.
Yeah.
The process.
Yes. There it is.
From beef swell to girder. And again, this is a 9-year-old. A fucking 9-year-old.
Right. Like, this is his first beef swelling, probably.
And like, I'm telling my friend, I was like, she's like, are you reading a porno? I was like, yeah, if it had sandworms and spice. And she's like, wait, you're reading Dune? Like, what? I was like, yeah, this is a 9-year-old kid saying this. She goes, what?
Yeah. It's a 9-year-old with like a million old people in his head, though, too. So,
yes. Also, weird is that somehow the author Stephanie Meyer of Twilight never figured out using beef swelling in Twilight.
Yeah, I feel like the literary community is really sleeping on this term. Like, just I feel like this should be everywhere. I feel like if you take nothing else from this show, start using beef swelling regularly.
It's now going to be Jen's birthday cake. Happy birthday, beef swell.
Is that like, like if there's like, so we live near the coast. So if there's like big waves, do we call it a beef swell now? Like, don't get caught in the beef swell.
It's got a rip current in the beef swell.
Yeah, exactly. Watch out for that. Swim perpendicular to it. The beef swell.
Yeah, like, so it goes from a beef swell to a girder shape of XD, then a sigh, a lingering ground swelling sweetness, a collapse. And then he's like whispering, like he's high, going, Sabia, oh my Sabia. And she's like, huh? He called my name again. And Namri's like, I gotta stay with him. She's like, I don't know. And then she sits down and he basically hypnotizes her and puts her to sleep. Yep. Again, kind of.
It's like a wrestling move he does, I think. Like,
I just like, but he just
he gets up and he goes, cheek. Can't see me.
So like that's going to be the name of our thirst Dune stream, beef swell.
Jen, you gotta get these scripts out. You gotta get this Batman Year 18 Barely Legal and then Dune Beef Swell. You gotta get to the laptop and get.
I made her pitch the Batman book to Steve Orlando when we interviewed him.
Oh, nice.
I put her on the spot. And she was like,
you gotta use every opportunity to get your ideas out there.
Watch, there'll be a Midnighter book where it's like, God damn it, you motherfucker, you stole it.
Yeah. Like, wait a minute. You stole my weird porn idea.
Why is Alfred in this doing lemon cakes? I'm currently also working on Deep Space 69.
I'm surprised that's not a thing already.
I'm Sure.
You better hold on. Don't show that. No, the internet has it. It's a race against time now.
I believe there's probably someone's like slash fic of it somewhere.
Well, we don't know who they are, so get that out there.
So basically, like he puts her to sleep and just walks off.
Yeah, sleeper hole just out.
And
Later.
They were like, "Well, where'd he go?" And she's like, "I don't know. Like I was there, and then he bewitched me." And
yeah, he said something about beef, and then he left.
He took it out and rubbed it on her face. She's like, "Ah."
Yeah. Oh God. I hope not.
Sabia.
She really gets the short end of the stick in this whole book. She's just kind of like,
Literally.
I didn't even want to do any of this, and then I get fucking knocked out by a 9-year-old, and after he gets horny for me.
Garrett going at it.
Oh yeah, that adds up. Something tells me Garrick's not really a tailor. I don't know, like I've watched that show a couple times. I just have a theory. That's just a theory.
Why is he using tribbles as anal beads? The trouble with tribbles.
They don't fit.
Oh God, this has already gone so bad. Yeah, so they're like, "What happened?" She goes, "Magic."
Yeah, magic.
And they're like, "Well, I disabled the pumps in his shoes."
Right? Yeah,
so he's not going to get water. And there's
poop's just going to be sitting there, not turning into water.
There's a storm coming, and then the next chapter is Alia and Duncan, and she's pissed that her mother's training Faradin.
Yeah. This Alia gets real mad. I know it. That's same with me. I like, there's
a lost season.
Yeah.
And it'll be coming out as an NFT soon.
Yeah. Real talk though, Worf Bridezilla, that's one of like the top 5 Star Trek episodes for me. Like all Star Treks. That's one of the top 5, I think.
Oh God. So basically this chapter is Alia and Duncan's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna just go and I'm gonna get Siege to Bar."
Yeah, Alia's mad. Duncan's sick of it.
I don't think I should be around here. So Ganma's over. Yeah. I'll go over there. And they're just both like, "Okay, like, does he know something?" Like, and
he kind of like leaves like a brat, doesn't he? Kind of just like leaves and like gets in a thopter and is like, "Later, don't come with me."
Yeah, they were gonna send someone with him to take the thopter back, and he's like,
"Nah, I got it.
I gotta go. I'll just
gotta get out of here. My wife is abomination. Damn it." Really feel bad that just like that Duncan also kind of near the end here, the way he goes out here, it's just kind of sad. Everybody's sad.
So the Leto is now walking through the desert, leaving Jakarut
Burning Man.
Yeah, and he's like, now the last daylight, Eastern Rocks, and he's like, "Okay, well, I got a Frem kit I took with me. I'm gonna go south. Gurney will expect me to do that. It'll be dark soon. Storm's coming. I'm gonna use the little compactor and make a hole, and then use the
sand snorkel, right?
Well, sorta, but he uses the Frem tent.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah, he puts up the whole thing,
and he took a worm, and he's like, "I'm gonna meet my father. I'm gonna do this."
Yeah. Again, high as hell, just so out of his gourd.
This is basically just him preparing for the storm.
Yeah. Lots of being high and digging in the sand.
Yeah. He's probably listening to Peter Gabriel's Digging
Yeah.
in the dirt.
Yeah, totally.
Finding
Totally.
all the places I've been hurt.
Oh wow, maybe that was what this was about. That song was about.
Maybe. So the next chapter is Jessica and Faradin, and it's literally 5 pages.
Yeah, 2 pages for me because I got a tiny print.
Yeah, they're just looking out a window and talking, and then Tynek comes in, and honestly, it's a chapter about nothing.
Yeah,
at least I didn't.
There's
get
a lot of
anything out of it.
Digressing and like just having feelings chapters in a lot of this last 100 pages or so here. Just kind of like
there's a lot of getting in touch with your feelings.
Yeah, totally. And so then the next chapter is Leto again. He comes out of his trance finally. He's finally sobering up. He had some orange slices and some water.
Had some orange slice. Had a mimosa.
I just think about that Hold Steady song, the Chill Out Tent song. I just feel like that's where he needs to go, is the Chill Out Tent.
Yeah, he's been in a trance in the tent because there was no sand snorkel, so he hasn't been able to breathe. He breached the tent sphincter. I don't know why that makes me laugh. But
I mean that is what it is, because it's like a tight opening area. But could he have thought of another word to use? Does he have a thesaurus? I don't know. Maybe in 1978 that was the word you're supposed to use.
I guess. He's sitting there waiting for a worm. He's like, man, I'm just this Uber worm's not coming here soon enough.
Like Sal will be there in 15 minutes.
And then he's talking about, it's like, oh, like I got all these visions, I got threads, I got to sort through them, and I'm always finding new threads. The worm.
There's a particular kind of worm that he gets, right? He gets a growler.
Yes, it's one that like makes a lot of, and they say like it releases oxygen and like cause like fire out the back.
Yeah, I think that was new information, right? That they have like a chemical fire inside of them.
Yeah.
Because I don't remember that in the first book at all.
He sees a harvester and a thopter, and the thopter kind of sees him, and it's a new person we're introduced to, Moritz.
Yes.
And there's a back and forth where they're playing like the riddle game again.
Such a weird game.
And they talk about Shulak. And he's like, a waif was found at the desert's edge and brought into the siege. At first, the waif refused to respond to his saviors. Then, when he spoke, no one could understand his words. As days passed, he continued unresponsive, refused to dress himself or cooperate in any way. Every time he was left alone, he made odd motions with his hands. All the specialists in the siege were called to study the waif, but arrived at no answer. Like, some of this stuff is just nonsense.
And is this where he refers to them as Little Melon, right?
Yes.
Yes. It's like you find a melon, which I don't know why they're just melons out in the desert, but I guess that's the thing. But it's like implying that he is like if you find a little melon, you can just take their water. So, I mean, he's in danger here.
Moritz says, are you a cursed midget come to spy on us? I thought you spoke wisely for a child.
Rude.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm the child of Muad'Dib. Don't play games with me, midget. Leto at the real is at the real Jakarutu, from whence you say.
Like, I got away.
So let's see. Moritz made the horns of the worm, which comes up a lot. I don't know what the horns of the worm is.
Yeah, I was gonna look that up. I feel like it's
signed with the right hand to ward off the Riani, which Leto's words called up.
When we find there's a new term here that comes up near the end, wadquias.
Wadquia.
Yeah, wadquias. So I must offend the tribe before you can take my water. So he's like playing Marie's, you're trying to figure out a way to, kind of like finagle his way into like A, not getting killed, and B, getting what he needs next, basically.
And we tarry too long in the worm's lair, and that ended it. Next chapter, Moritz brings the ornithopter to Shulak, and we find someone is a slave there. And it is Sabia.
Yep.
Who has been punished for letting him go.
Yeah, just really he's ruined someone's life. I mean, he had to get out of there, but it had consequences for other people.
Yes. And Mariz is like, you know this one? Oh, she's Namri's niece. He's like, Namri, but Liban Wahid. Which is
yeah, what does that mean?
What it means. He commanded, bring us the spice drink. And
we find out here that they're selling sand trout and worms, right?
Yes, off planet.
Off planet. So this is like not cool, because Dune is where these things thrive, and they don't do great off planet. But these idiot off-worlders, these Getty Prime and Kaladin morons and Seleucus Secundus people, they don't know that, I guess.
So he goes out to talk to her, and he's like, you hate me. And she's like, you shame me before my people. They held an Isnad and sent me here to lose my water, all because of you.
Yeah.
And now you see, Leto, that our spirit river has many tributaries. But my water flows in your veins, Leto said. That is no tributary. Sabia is the fate of my vision, and I follow her. I fled across the desert to find my future here in Shulak. He pointed at Sabia, threw his head back in laughter. It will not be as either of you might believe. Remember this, Moritz. I have found the footprints of my worm. And then he starts crying.
Right, yeah. He gives water to the dead.
The next chapter, Namri and Gurney get into it.
Yeah.
And homeboy fucks up and makes a move on Gurney.
Yeah,
he's
don't
been
do that.
Alia's man the whole time.
Yeah, don't do that.
Gurney has a false sleeve.
Yeah, with the ties him up in it, and yeah, pretty cool, pretty badass little action scene here.
And Namri was wearing armor, and Gurney's like, you think I can't tell that you're wearing armor? Come on. Come on, I'm Gurney Halleck.
Gurney Halleck.
Yeah.
Shai Hulud ain't got shit on me.
He's Denzel on Training Day.
Yeah.
I'm Shai Hulud in this bitch.
He tells Namri, you just smoked PCP.
Oh, I didn't know you like to get wet.
He's a Fremen. Of course he likes to get wet.
Scared of getting wet.
Yeah.
Remember, people drowned.
Well, that's true. Yeah, that's right. Everything's upside down right now on Arrakis.
Yeah. And
yeah, they get into it.
Yeah, he's like, I got to get the fuck out of here, I guess. Just walk casual.
Yeah, just look casual. Just don't draw attention to yourself.
This chapter gets weird. We're like, Leto's back in the hut, and Sabia's making coffee, and she's like trying to give him the gruel, and he ignored the bowl. She's like, I'm gonna be punished if you don't eat this. He stared. He's like, if I kill her, that'll shatter one vision. If I tell her Maria's plans, that'll shatter another vision. If I wait here for my father, this vision thread will become a mighty rope.
Yes. That's kind of, again, like alluding to like the trap of prescience, right? Is that kind of like, because that's a theme throughout all of this, right? It's being trapped by prescience. Yeah.
And that's where, he says that his father fell into the trap.
Right. Yeah. And he was afraid to do what Leto ends up choosing to do.
Yeah. And then she's like, "Why are you staring at me?" And he's like, didn't say anything. She pushed the bowl closer, tried to swallow, and the impulse to kill Sabia welled in him. I was just like,
Yeah, jeez, poor Sabia again. Like she's just, she would just leave. If she could. I don't feel like she's invested in any of this. Like torturing this 9-year-old.
yeah. And then she's like, "The spice will only give you visions." And she's like, "I've had visions in the orgy many times. They don't mean anything."
Right, yeah. She's like, it's cool. Who cares? Let's just party. Just partying. There's a lot of back and forth here.
And then he's just like, "My skin is not my own." He stood pulling his robe around him. It felt strange against his flesh with no still suit protecting his body. His feet were bare upon the fused spice fabric of the floor. And then she's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "Air's bad. I'm going outside." She's like, You can't. Every canyon has a worm. Like, what?
Yeah, you're effed if you go out there.
Yeah, and she's basically like, "Captive worms are very alert, not like the ones in the desert at all. Besides," how gloating her voice became, "you've no still suit. Then why do you worry?" As he's walking out. She's like, "Well, you haven't eaten." He's like, "And you'll be punished." "Yes, but I'm already saturated with spice. Every moment is a vision."
Yeah.
"Pour that onto the sand. Who'll know?"
He's walking out to the sand trout ranch now.
Yes. And then she's also like, "The sand trout come out and swarms at night." He's like, "They won't eat me." It's like, "Sometimes the worms come down just beyond the water." She's like, "If you cross," and he's just like, "How could I mount a worm without hooks?" Blah, blah, blah. He's basically just like, "Whatever, woman. Like, I'm just going to do what I'm going to do."
Mansplains to her. Again, a 9-year-old mansplaining to you of whatever.
And he was like, "There is a certain cleanliness about facing an unknown future. A kiss in the siege is worth 2 in the city." An old Fremen maxim.
That's a fascinating maxim. Like, especially in a place where they have spice orgies. Like, I guess, is that why? Like, I don't know.
And he starts feeling the sand trout, and he realizes, like, felt the reality of his terrible decision. The sand trout glove. It was the play of children. If one held a sand trout in the hand, smoothing it over your skin, it formed a living glove.
Yes.
Traces of blood in the skin's capillaries would be sensed by the creatures, but something mingled with the blood's water repelled them. Sooner or later, the glove would slip off into the sand. Then, to be lifted into a spice fiber basket. The spice soothed them until they were dumped into the death still. And apparently, like, water softened the trout, made them pliable. Children learned that early. A bit of saliva teased out the sweet syrup.
Yeah, they make a little.
Yeah, treat. You can drink syrup out of them, which kind of weird.
I don't know. Yeah, I've never picked up some weird bug off the ground and just sucked something out of it. But I don't live on Dune, so
yeah.
I'm not gonna judge. I'm not gonna judge you. If you want to suck on a sand trout, do it. It's fine.
So he grabbed a sand trout and then started moving eagerly onto his flesh. Roughly diamond-shaped. It had no head, no extremities, no eyes. Yet it could find water unerringly. Yeah. It squirmed on his hand, elongating, stretching as it moved. He felt a counterpart elongating and stretching of the vision. This thread, not that one. He felt the sand trout becoming thin, covering more and more of his hand. No sand trout had ever before encountered a hand such as this one. So since it was super saturated with the spice, it was mingling with it and not how it would normally. And he also, since he did the agony, he could change his enzymes.
Yeah, he can transform. Basically, like, I don't want to like oversimplify this, but I always thought of it as like, oh, he's becoming Venom. Kind of.
Sort of. It is kind of symbiotic because he can like roll it to be over his mouth. Like he makes a catch tube at one point after realizing that he basically turns into a living still suit, but he won't cover his mouth.
Yeah. And it like goes over his ears. It kind of goes around his like jaw.
Yeah, it's almost like a cowl.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's very like I rereading this. I was kind of like, oh yeah, this was like one of my favorite parts. I think of this just because
it's almost
so
like
weird.
The Spider-Man 3 Venom, the oh god, what the fuck is that?
Topher Grace.
Topher Grace, yeah, like that's how I imagine it with like it being around when they had to show his face.
Yeah. Maybe it's more of a Witchblade situation because I think it showed his midriff and his cleavage.
Yeah.
For no reason. I don't know why that would be. You would do that.
So like it spreads around at joint, and he talks about like the cilia inside, like mingling with his body and changing him.
Yeah.
It was a kind of cool moment because it's just so weird, and I think as comic book fans, we're just like, yeah, you know, like we've seen this, but this was 19.
This was before Venom, and this was before like. I'm trying to think of what the most comparable sort of superhero would have been with this, right? Like, it's pretty weird. It's pretty weird.
Would be more of like a 1970s horror movie where like,
right. It's very body horror. It's like David Cronenberg before David Cronenberg.
Yeah, like this would be something I honestly like close to like without the wild racism, like Lovecraft.
Sure, yeah. Like many things Lovecraftish. It is very Lovecraftian, actually. Yeah, that's a good pull because it's like this weird sort of other living organism
without
that you're somehow like connecting to. Yeah. And it also,
I will recommend like there is a great Lovecraft documentary with Neil Gaiman and Guillermo del Toro as the narrators.
Oh, nice.
That someone uploaded the whole thing on YouTube. Fucking great.
I'll look into that.
It talks a lot about his xenophobia, and he had a huge mommy issue.
Oh yeah, I bet.
Definitely, like this was stuff that Venom might be something that got taken from this.
Yeah, I think it's an underrated like influence, possibly. I mean, God knows if like David Michelinie and Todd McFarlane like read these books. Maybe they did.
Well, I know the symbiote suit that was Jim Shooter and Mike.
Oh yeah, I guess the suit itself even would have been before that. So
so it starts coming around him, and he then starts learning that all of his reflexes and strength are completely.
He can leap tall buildings in a single bound.
Like he's moving so fast, his muscles can't keep up, and he's tripping and falling.
He's like burrowing.
Like we've seen this in movies before too. Like,
oh yeah,
where you get the speed, but like you fall down a couple of times before you get your feet underneath. Maybe it was the Flash TV show.
Well, the nicest version of this was the Christopher Reeve Superman, where he's racing the train, right? I mean, that's like the wholesome version. We're like, woo.
And he also becomes a fucking monster.
Yep.
Where he's like smiling as he's like decapitating people.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that.
Well, then he goes around and like smashes. I mean, we talked about dismantling capitalism. He goes around and starts smashing quanuts and.
Yeah, like he's destroying quanuts, and then like he sees a worm, and he's like, "All right, well, let's see what happens." And the worm won't come near him; it just stops. He's like, "I command the worm." It's like, no, you don't command the worm. They just won't attack.
Yeah, exactly. Right. But that does give him like he's nigh invulnerable, and not while blasting.
So he's just like looking at him like, "Oh God, woo God." I'm gonna go back in this hut and probably die. See ya. Yes, there was part in the beginning of this. It was the first to be a #1 bestseller.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then it was overtaken by Battlefield Earth many years later. No. Dianetics, no.
Yeah, that makes sense. Actually, they probably did. Especially, I bet Jim Shooter read it. Like you're saying. David Michelinie, Jim Shooter, that era. I
mean, think of it like the whole Ultron was completely like Frankenstein's monster. So there was horror.
Oh, you're always the history of particularly Marvel Comics is what's a thing that's cool? Let's turn it into a Marvel thing, And you got some great stuff out of that.
Excelsior. That's what makes it Marvel.
The kids like Kung Fu. Let's do something with that.
I hear they're going to try and make a She-Hulk. Let's make one real hastily and just put it out
We
there.
don't
That
have-
way we own the rights.
Yeah, we don't have that trademarked.
I hear people like Shaft. Let's make Luke Cage.
I think we need to make like, I feel like since they did that, we can see like their paranoia, and we should just start making like She-Nova,
I believe
She
they did do a
Strange,
She-Nova.
like just the dumbest sounding names, but just so we could like capitalize on the things they missed.
I mean, then look back at what happened with Fawcett Publications, where DC was like, that's too close to Superman. Fuck him, we'll sue him into oblivion, and then we'll own the rights to Captain Marvel.
And it's selling better than Superman. That's the other problem they had.
That's probably where it started.
Like, they wouldn't care if it wasn't successful, but it was way more successful.
So Leto's running around just smashing stuff.
Typical 9. Yeah, if you were that's just the most like, when you think about it, like 9-year-old gets superpowers, he's gonna smash stuff, right?
They say that he had manic exhilaration.
Yeah, adds up. That totally adds up.
Thoughtfully, Leto rolled the length of the membrane beneath his lips, pulled it into his mouth, and drank the sweetness.
Mm-hmm.
His mouth was not masked, though Fremen-wise he sensed his body's moisture being wasted with every breath. So he brought a section of the membrane over his mouth, rolled it back when it tried to seal his nostrils. He kept at this until the rolled barrier remained in place. In the desert way, he fell into the automatic breathing pattern, in through his nose, out through the mouth. A thopter came, started looking for him, and he was like, well, fuck it, I'm just going to burrow.
Yep. And he gets like super burrow powers.
As it is, like he jumped through from one butt to another.
Yep.
And then he's like, you know what? Fuck it. Tomorrow I'm going to raid Gara Rulin, he thought. I'll smash the Quana and loose its water into the sand. Then I'll go to the Windsack, Old Gab, and Hard. In a month, the ecological transformation will have been set back a full generation.
Right.
That'll give us space to develop a new timetable.
Right. Because that is why he's doing this, is he's trying to stop the terraforming, essentially.
And then he's like, soon I'll see my father and we'll dispute as man to man. And only one vision will emerge.
Yes.
And then we have Alia again. She's fighting with the old Baron in her head.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, well, I'll take, if you persist, I'll take a sedative. And he's like, oh, no, you won't. She goes, oh, I will. And he's like, all right, I'm done.
Just holding a Xanax over her mouth.
Like, literally, she's like,
shut up. I'm going to take this.
If you don't stop right now, I'm gonna back my brain right into oblivion.
I'll drink this whole bottle of Chardonnay. Shut the fuck up right now. I'm just gonna chug it.
She's basically Joan Crawford from Mommy Dearest.
But to herself.
Yes.
Yeah,
she's
totally.
Running around. No more wire hangers. Like blasting Comet all over the place. Scrub this.
She really is. I wonder if that's what he had pictured in his head.
Clean this bathroom. So Leto, he's now stomping feet to bring worms.
Yeah,
that's a thing he can do now.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then he's like, Leto knew what was believed of his father and why. Muad'Dib died of prescience. But Paul Atreides had passed from the universe of reality into the Alam al-Mithal, while still alive, fleeing from this thing which his son had dared. Now there was only the preacher. Leto just sat in the sand waiting for his dad to come by, and with his little Jakarutu kid. And the kid like tried to get the worm to run him over.
Yeah, and it wouldn't do it.
Nope.
Like,
And he just kept calling him Demon of the Desert.
Yeah, Demon of the Desert. I love that as a name for him.
And the preacher, aka Paul, and him start having a back and forth.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just like, There was a line in here. Oh yeah, he's like, you cannot do this. I've already done it. My skin is not my own. Perhaps it's not too late for you. It is too late, Father.
I do love that. Just the returning to that. My skin is not my own. My skin is not my own thing, which is so. It kind of speaks to the again the trap of prescience, where you're like doing something that you're just compelled to do. You're making yourself inhuman because you're compelled to do it.
And Paul's just like, you can't do this. You can't do it. And he's just like, it's already done. Like, I did it.
You see this suit?
Yeah.
You see my Witchblade cosplay? It's right here. I got it. Chill out.
And then Paul's like, do you really know the universe you have created here? And I'm here to give purpose to evolution and therefore to give purpose to our lives. Mm-hmm. Do you wish to live those thousands of years changing as you now know you will change? Leto recognized that his father was not speaking about physical change. Both of them knew the physical consequences. Leto would adapt and adapt. The skin, which was not his own, would adapt and adapt. The evolutionary thrust of each part would melt into the other, and a single transformation would emerge. When metamorphosis came, if it came, a thinking creature of awesome dimensions would emerge upon the universe, and that universe would worship him. He's kind of like Brundlefly. Oh, my ear fell off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh no.
This is my museum to Brundlefly. Now I do what all life must do in the service of life. You never said that, but a priest who thought you could never return and call him liar put those words into your mouth. Paul's like, I'd not call him liar. Those are good last words.
Yeah, great last words.
He's like, would you stay here or return to that hut in the basin of Shulak? And Paul's like, well, it's your universe now, whatever, man. Like, He kind of becomes Lebowski.
A little bit, yeah. He's very much, I think knowing you're that powerful, you're just kind of like, well, I don't know.
I'm just a blind prophet. Man, don't pee on my rug, man.
Yeah, I mean, you really tied the room together.
Thousands of peaceful years, that's what I'll give them. Dormancy, stagnation, of course. And those forms of violence which I permit, it'll be a lesson which humankind will never forget.
He used to follow that with a blah-ha-ha, because that's really
blah-ha-ha. That is like, that's Dr. Doom dialogue.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Oh, he's totally Dr. Doom.
Or he's Thanos with the Infinity Gauntlet, like,
yeah,
I like them.
Inevitable.
Yes. And Paul's like, I spit on your lesson. You think I've not seen a thing similar to what you chose? He's like, you saw it. He's like, is your vision any better than mine? Not one whit better. Worse, perhaps.
Oh, right. Yeah, that was a real.
Yeah. And Paul's like, well, what can I do? I would.
See, yeah, that's kind of the missed opportunity right there.
I will recommend anybody who is interested, David Lynch, in one of his little talks, there's an interview where he discusses his meeting with George Lucas to talk about directing
Return of the
Jedi. It's fucking hysterical.
What would that have been? What would that have been?
So he's driving me in his Ferrari, and he takes me to this restaurant, and all he served was salad. I love salad. By the end of this, I'm getting a headache. And he's telling me about Wookiees. I don't know what a Wookiee is. I don't.
Oh, man.
It's so weird. And I'm just like, I started going, what the fuck would David Lynch's version of this be? Like, I already had in like Dune where he had Fear have to milk a fucking cat to stop his poison. Like, what?
Yeah, who knows? Cronenberg might have been a better happy medium between like a.
Well, Cronenberg definitely for this movie or God Emperor.
Yeah. Like, as it gets weirder, he's even more overqualified. Or even like if this is in two movies, like the part where Leto becomes my skin is not my own Leto. Just have Cronenberg do that one.
And
have
like
Peter Bogdanovich, R.I.P., do the first one. I don't know.
A very disappointing part in this, where he's like, how old his voice sounds, Leto thought, and the thought was a wrenching pain. He said, I have the hawk ring of Atreides concealed in my dishdasha.
Oh, yeah.
Do you wish me to return it to you? And he's like, if I'd only died. I truly wanted to die when I went into the desert that night, but I knew I could not leave this world. I had to come back.
Sad boy Paul coming back.
Oh, God, yeah.
We thought we were done with him. He got a new career. We thought he had got some confidence. Nope.
Still, and he's like, boy. And the jackals of Jakarutu are waiting for you that night, and as you knew they would be, they wanted your visions. You knew that. He's like, I refused. I never gave them one vision, but they contaminated you. They fed you spice essence, implied you with women and dreams, and you did have visions.
A 9-year-old. A 9-year-old.
Yes. Sometimes. Will you take back your hawk ring? No.
I don't want it. Don't want it.
I don't want it.
Yeah, he totally is. Shut up.
I just like they plied you with women and spice essence.
Like, yeah, like that's so messed up.
So basically, they made him Jabba the Hutt.
Yeah, I mean, kind of. They kind of did.
Muad'Dib no wano no Wookiee.
Yeah, no wano Wookiee. Yeah, if you had a Rancor, everybody'd be fucked.
That's weird. I can't see
it,
what I
a
feel
little bit.
You.
It reminds me a little bit. I've been rewatching The Sopranos. It reminds me a little bit of like Tony and AJ. But if Tony was more of a sad boy, like Tony is actually a sad boy.
He is.
He actually is a sad boy, but he has to go around like beating people up for money and stuff, and like yelling at Polly and whatever. Yeah, a lot of parallels. Think about it.
I am a creature of this desert now, Father. Would you speak thus to a Coriolis storm? Stop comparing yourself to an act of nature.
Yeah, he's playing mind games with. Again, he's a 9-year-old with 1 million old people in his head. So.
Paul's like, you think me a coward for refusing the path? Oh, I understand you well, son. Augury and haruspication have always been their own torments, but I was never lost in the possible futures because this one is unspeakable. Your jihad will be a summer picnic on Caladan by comparison. I'll take you to Gurney now.
That's saying something, yeah. Star wipe.
Yeah, like tears slid down his sightless eyes and Paul released his grip. If I'd chosen your way, I'd have become the Bikoros of Shaitan. What will you become? For a time, they'll call me the missionary of Shaitan, too. Then they'll begin to wonder, and finally they'll understand. You didn't take your vision far enough, Father. Your hands did good things and evil.
Which I did. I looked up Shaitan, like if people don't know, like that's it's basically like an evil jinn, which is like in the Islamic world, like a jinn is kind of like a. Would you say it's like a demon? I mean, it's basically like that. It's it's like it's not the devil. It's like a devil kind of thing.
Like a wishmaster.
Right? Yeah, something. Yeah, like a wishmaster.
But the evil was known after the event, which is the way of many great evils. You crossed over only into a part of my vision. Was your strength not enough? You know I couldn't stay there. I could never do an evil act with which was known before the act. I am not Jakarutu. Do you think me one of those who laugh alone at night? He's like, it's sad that you were never really Fremen. We Fremen know how to commission the Arifa. Our judges can choose between evils. It's always been that way for us. Paul's like, Fremen, is it? Slaves of the fate you helped to make. Ah, that is your own flesh yet. Where will the flesh take you? He dropped his hand. Into a place where humans may create their futures from instant to instant. So you say an abomination might say the same. It's like, I'm not an abomination.
Oh, foreshadowing. I think Marcy is correct. Like, I think it's like a genie, but it's not. We're not talking Robin Williams genie. We're talking like a scary
Wishmaster
thing. Yeah,
where it's the monkey's paw. Your wish for something, but you're gonna get something not good.
But I think you're right. Though,
the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror. I think volume 2 or 3 had the monkey's paw.
That sounds right. Yeah, that's the monkey paw. Yeah.
If you want the PG version of the monkey's paw.
Yeah. Still pretty rough. But
if there's a curse upon our house, I prayed that you would throw that ring into the sand, that you'd deny me and run away to make another life. It was there for you. At what price? The end adjusts the path behind it. Just once I failed to fight for my principle. Just once I accepted the modinate. I did it for Chani, but it made me a bad leader.
And I believe Mahdi means light, right? So this is like it's kind of like a godhood of some kind, right? It's like a messianic sort of title, Mahdi-nate, I believe.
I cannot lie to you any more than I could lie to myself. I know this. Every man should have such an auditor. I will only ask this one thing. Is the typhoon struggle necessary? It's that or humans will be extinguished.
Well, I guess we need to do that then.
Paul could only shake his head knowing he would have no comfort from this night in any way. Muad'Dib, the hero, must be destroyed. He'd said it himself. Only the preacher could go on now. We have the history of Liat Kynes by Hark al-Ada. Hark al-Ada, name comes up quite a lot in this book.
The new Irulan. They were Irulan's losing her.
Literally and figuratively, the new Irulan.
Yeah. Take notes.
Irulan was treated nicely.
Yeah. HuffPo fired Irulan. They hired this Hark al-Ada guy. He's getting all the clicks.
So Duncan Idaho decides to, hang out with Stilgar.
Yeah.
At the siege. They're talking all night. He's asking a lot of questions.
Yeah.
Stilgar is just like, listen, man, I'm neutral.
Yeah.
I'm not doing this. I got neutrality. Well, I just want to send a letter to Jessica. Nah, man, like you can receive, but you cannot send.
Nope.
And
one-way
then
street.
starts insulting Stilgar.
Yep.
With
the plan.
Unpardonable assaults on his character by Fremen standards.
Yeah. And Stilgar knows what he's doing.
And Idaho basically starts the draw on him, and Stilgar kills him after Idaho claps him on both ears.
Yeah.
And he's like, God damn it, Idaho. Now I got to go into the desert as a fucking fugitive. Get Ganima. Hera, get her. She's like, am I coming with you? He goes, yeah, you're coming with me. Like, I feel like he's Archie Bunker at this point. And he's like, she's Edith.
Oh, God. Stilgar, what are we doing?
Yeah, come on, dingbat.
Why'd you kill him?
I'm in the desert.
Where should I
take the other wives?
Yeah.
What did I just say?
Where is kids? Who's Meathead in this analogy? Yeah.
Idaho might have been Meathead.
Yeah, maybe he kind of is a meathead, but like an awesome meathead. Maybe the most awesome meathead.
Because Hera's like, where will you go, Stilgar? He's like, into the desert. I will go with you. He's like, of course you'll go with me. All my wives go with me. And Ganima, get her. And she's like, and Irulan, he goes, I mean, if she wants to, like, I'm not gonna make her.
Yeah, right. He's kind of like, I'm kind of like sick of her, but she really loves Ganima and takes care of her, I guess. So
she goes, yes, husband. You taking Ganny as a hostage? He goes, hostage? Woman?
Yeah, like, what are you talking about?
And he's like, if this Mentat was right, I'm her only hope.
Yeah, exactly. He's helped. Yeah. I want to just pour one out though for Duncan here in his exit.
Yeah, like he had to give his life to do what he felt was right.
Yeah, just everybody's like realizing something about their sort of destiny, or a lot of people in this book at this point, and they're like, well, my humanity or my life or whatever are forfeit so that the next thing can happen that needs to happen. And Duncan's one of those people.
He had to fight for their right to party.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
They'll have an.
He woke up late for school. And he doesn't want to go.
You're welcome, Marcy. I know you wanted to hear that probably. So at 2X Siege, Gurney's there, and the metal frame of the door seal is cracking, and the crackled in the glowing warmth of the day. And he's like, both of us are alien here. Look at the willow tree. And he kept focusing on the silly willow tree.
Yeah, they like Silly Willy.
And they're like, hey,
What
you
the
can
kids
see
call it.
somebody. Literally, this was 4 pages of them going, hey,
Yeah.
you can come see somebody.
Yeah,
They'll let you
basically.
in. Alia finds out that her husband's dead, who also killed her lover, Javid.
Yeah, he killed Javid, and then it's like a Reservoir Dogs situation.
And this dude shows up and he's like, yeah, I saw the Holy Consort dead upon the floor at the central passage, and Javid lay dead near him inside the side passage. The women already were repairing him. And she's like, and Stilgar sent you? He's like, yeah. So Stilgar sent you? Goes, yeah. You released me from my bond, and I guess I'm yours now.
Yeah.
She's just like,
yes, I'm yours.
Okay, well, you gotta go. And he goes, I mean, sure, like, I'll go. She's like, no, come here. We're gonna work on a plan here. And then she just starts crying, and like, the Baron's like, who cries? Who is it that cries? Who is crying now?
Yeah.
And she
just the Baron is just a real dick.
Yeah.
Real dick about everything.
We also have yet another in the next chapter, starting The Holy Metamorphosis by Hark Elada.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Not to be confused with Ench Elada.
Yes,
the other scribe.
Different Elada.
By these acts, Leto too removed himself from the evolutionary succession. He did it with a deliberate cutting action, saying, to be independent is to be removed. Both twins saw beyond the needs of memory as a measuring process, that is, a way of determining their distance from their human origins. But it was left to Leto II to do the audacious thing, recognizing that a real creation is independent of its creator. He refused to reenact the evolutionary sequence, saying, that too takes me farther and further from humanity. He saw the implications in this, that there can be no truly closed systems in life.
Deep.
Yeah.
Hark Elada's coming for your spot, Erlon. So.
And then in the months since their flight from Tabor, the fugitives had sampled the protection of several such places made uninhabitable by the desert demon. Ghanima didn't believe in the desert demon, although there was no denying the visible evidence of the Quinaut's destruction.
Yeah, somebody's smashing all this stuff, though, so...
Some were flying around looking for Stilgar, but Arrakis was large. The rebels said there was little fighting between their men and the troops of Alia. Random depredations of the desert demon made home guard duty the first concern of Alia and the Naibs. Even the smugglers had been hit. Ghanima wondered why Stilgar refused to discuss what had happened to the planet. Couldn't he see it? As Quinauts were shattered, Fremen pulled back to the northern and southern lines, which once had marked the extent of their holdings.
Stilgar is kind of in disbelief of what's happening to the planet part of it.
Yeah,
that comes up later too when he finally catches up.
Ghanima then starts getting into it with Hera.
Oh right.
Yeah, she's like, what are you doing out here alone? This is a strange place, Hera. We should leave. Stilgar waits to meet someone here. Oh, he didn't tell me that. Why would he tell you everything, Maku? And Hera slapped the water pouch which bulged from the front of Ghanima's robe. Are you a grown woman to be pregnant? She's like, I've been pregnant so many times, there's no counting it.
Which is a great comeback.
Don't play those adult child games with me. And Hera took a backward step at the venom in Ghanima's voice. You're a band of stupids. Ghanima said, wavering. At least that's like
that sounds like a 9-year-old
would
say. That's a 9-year-old talking.
And then she's like, I should never come with you. And she's like, you'd be dead by now if you hadn't, perhaps, but you don't see what's right in front of your face. Who is it that's Stilgar waiting? Burr Agars. He's being brought here secretly by friends from Red Chasm. And then she's like, this is madness. Don't forget, he's family. Ghanima snapped. That's very Fast and the Furious.
Yeah.
He's the grandson of Stilgar's
She
cousin.
drinks a Corona right afterwards.
So I live my life 1/4 worm at a time.
Exactly. Yes.
Gurney's sitting there hanging out in the next chapter.
Yep.
On the butt of
his
Shulock.
Yeah.
With his balisette, and he's just like, yeah, I'm just
playing
out
Dave
here
Matthews
strumming
songs
some
on his
tunes,
balisette.
having some beer.
Yeah, just chilling, with Margaritaville in it.
He's playing ants marching.
Yeah. What if that is what balisette music was? It was just
he's like Dave Matthews.
Yeah, it's just the guitar parts for Dave Matthews songs.
I play some old Fish at the orgies.
Yeah.
Slave
to the traffic light.
The cast out work like men driven by a devil, and perhaps they were. Before every meal, they faced the Tanzaruf and prayed to Shai-Hulud personified. There's a lot that's happened in between where Leto had set the pattern when he brought Halleck and the preacher here, and Halleck stolen Thopter. With his bare hands, Leto had breached the Shulock Quanet, hurling large stones more than 50 meters. When the cast out had tried to intervene, Leto had decapitated the first to reach him.
Yeah. Wow. Damn.
Yeah. Using no more than a blurred sweep of his arm, he hurled others back into their companions and then laughed at their weapons. In a demon voice, he roared at them, "Fire will not touch me. Your knives will not harm me. I wear the skin of Shai-Hulud."
Yeah.
They recognized him then and recalled his escape, leaping from the butt directly to the desert. They had prostrated themselves before him, and Leto had issued his orders. "I bring you 2 guests. You will guard them and honor them. You will build your Quanet and begin planting an oasis garden. One day I'll make my home here. You will prepare my home. You will sell no more spice, but you will store every bit you collect." He just kept telling them instructions.
Yeah, he just like, "You're gonna do this. You do what I say.
When I come home, this shit better be clean and my house built."
Yeah, better be an oasis garden, and you're saving that spice, like I told you.
The preacher and Gurney meet, and he's like, "Hey, you look just like the old dude."
Wait, are you Paul?
Yeah.
You old Ben Kenobi?
That is a name I have not heard in a long time. And of course, Paul's just like, being like
he's cute about it a little bit.
He's was it Mysterion or whatever from Mystery Men?
Oh yeah, it's been so long since I've seen that movie. But
oh god, like he's just like, "Are you just trying to sound mysterious?" No. He's like, "I'm no more than you see. Don't look at me. Look at this person who you were ordered to teach and test. He has been formed by crisis. He survived a lethal environment. He is here. Who are you?" "I tell you only to look at this Atreides youth."
Yeah. He keeps asking him direct questions, which I definitely can see Gurney having no time for that bullshit.
He's like, "Is he abomination?" A weary laugh shook the preacher. "You persist in Bene Gesserit nonsense, how they create the myths by which men sleep."
Yeah, which is
Are
true.
You Paul?
They do
Paul
that.
Atreides is no more. He tried to stand as supreme moral symbol while he renounced all moral pretensions. He became a saint without a god. Every word a blasphemy. How can you think? Because you speak with his voice. Would you test me now? Beware, Gurney Halleck.
Do you like? I think he changes his voice there. Like, "Oh no, it's not me."
I am not the droid you're looking for. I didn't say I was looking for a droid. God damn it.
It's like Homer. It's like when Homer tries to go in. "I am Guy Incognito." Yeah, I do like the every instance of somebody figuring out who Paul is. Really, they all have their own flavor of sort of maddening. Like, come on, like, who do you think?
Gurney has the best part. "Tell me, Paul, does your mother know?"
Oh yeah, right. Huh?
He's like, "To the sisterhood, all of it, I'm dead. Do not try to revive me." It's still not looking at Halleck asks, "But why does she? She does what she must. She makes her own life, thinking she rules many lives. Thus we all play God. But you're alive." What is that?" I was like, oh, he's just gonna keep asking questions
Yeah,
to whatever he states.
Yeah, he's just stuck in this, riddle thing that he's got to deal with. Again, just the worst. Like Paul being the worst. More of that.
Well, I'd say this is kind of the worst. Where they're walking down and Leto moved ahead of them. If it was there when Halleck saw an element of the terrible change which had been wrought in Leto, a bull voice roared, "Stand aside!" And Leto moved forward, thrusting adult Fremen right and left, knocking them down, clubbing them with his hands, wrenching knives from their hands by grasping the blades. In less than a minute, those Fremen still standing were pressed back against the walls in silent consternation. Leto stood beside his father. "When Shia Lu speaks, you obey." And when a few of the Fremen had started to argue, Leto had torn a corner of rock from the passage wall besides the room exit and crumbled it in his hands.
Crushes it. Yeah, that's pretty. Again, a 9-year-old. He's a 9-year-old.
"I will tear your siege down around your faces," the desert demon, someone whispered. "And your quanuts, I will rip them apart. We have not been here. Do you hear me? No one here has seen us. One whisper from you, and I will return to drive you into the desert without water."
Actually, that's where he does he does this. You can't see me.
Yeah.
You can't see me.
The guy is there to parlay. Big surprise. It's a trick.
Mm-hmm.
They take Ghanima and all of them cut captive. We are now back to Leto adjusting the folds of the white robe, which covered his living still suit. You could feel how the sand trout membrane.
Oh, sorry. Before we pass that, just that chapter real quick, I just was going to say, like, when I reread it, I did sort of, and I think when I initially read it, I kind of like, I think you're supposed to be sort of, for a second, you're supposed to think maybe Stilgar sold them out.
Oh,
a little bit.
I never got that vibe.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe I just like, because I mean, it's a fake out, obviously, like he doesn't, but like I thought maybe he's just sowing a little bit of like what's happening. But yeah, they take Ghanima there, and
because Stilgar got taken too.
Yeah, but I felt like we didn't really we find that out later though, right?
So, yeah, true.
I guess it's not like in that moment it's not obvious. So you're kind of like, what happened? Did Stilgar do that? Was that his like?
We needed Liam Neeson to send a bat to them and be like, "I'm a man of very special skills.
Oh yeah,
I will find you. You will try."
Yeah, blowing sand.
Odd things swam in his blood. Sand trout cilia had penetrated every organ, adjusting, changing. The sand trout itself was changing, adapting, but Leto, knowing this, felt himself torn by the old threads of his lost humanity. His life, caught in primal anguish with its ancient continuity shattered. He knew the trap of indulging in such emotion, though. He knew it well.
Mm-hmm.
More and more, it's changing his organs.
Yeah, weird. He's gonna have a chemical fire inside.
There is a line at the end of this that it's worded so fucking clumsily.
Oh yeah.
He's just like, I could just walk away into the desert. He thought everything would change. Then one direction would be as good as another.
Yeah, just I'm out.
Yeah,
just gonna go have superpowers out in the desert.
Yeah.
Is this the first place where they say the Kralitzek? I mean, they mentioned the typhoon.
They mentioned it originally, like when he's talking to Moritz, they talk about the Kralitzek, and the guy's like, whatever, boasty little fuck.
Right, but they return to that, which it's basically like Fremen Ragnarok, I guess.
The typhoon struggle lay ahead, like the storm cometh.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess it's like Fremen Ragnarok.
Yeah.
But not to be confused with Fraggle Rock.
No, different than Fraggle Rock. Fremen Ragnarok.
That was The Hobbit.
Common mistake.
Leto's like, why do I still think of my father as the preacher? Like this, because this is no longer Muad'Dib, no longer Paul Atreides. He's just this desert cryptid.
Yeah, yeah. He's just this weirdo out in the desert.
The preacher is brought in by a child, and Leto looks at the child, and he's like, a person almost as tall as myself. with awe tempered by an avaricious curiosity. The young eyes glinted darkly above the child-sized stillsuit mask. Later waved the hand, leave us. And from the rebellion on the child's shoulders, then the awe and native Fremen respect for privacy took over. They're like, oh, Faradin's here. Yeah, so Dad, you wanna go to the capital? Probably gonna die.
Probably.
Like, man. He's like, you don't have to go back there with me, but my sister is there and I must return. You could go with Gurney. And you go to Arakeen alone? Yes, I must meet Faradin. I'll go with you. Like, fuck.
Yeah, he knows. Because they say, like, and Leto sensed a touch of the old Vision's madness in the preacher's manner. Wondered, has he been playing the prescience game?
Yes. He'd never go that way again.
Yeah.
Listen, don't talk about which way the preacher swings. Like,
but this part here, I had keyed it. It's like the preacher's every word confirmed that he had handed over the visions to his son, knowing that everything in this universe has been anticipated, which is really like, that's heavy, right? Like everything has been anticipated.
It was the old polarities which taunted the preacher now. He had fled from paradox into paradox.
Yeah.
Leto's like, yeah, we're leaving soon. He's like, Gurney's not going with us. I want Gurney to survive. And he's just like, fuck,
Gurney rules.
I just see the preacher going, God damn it, like, fuck. And the preacher opened himself to the tensions. Then they were in the air around him and the ground under his feet, a motile thing which focused onto the non-child who was his son. The blunt scream of his old visions waited in the preacher's throat, this cursed holiness. The sandy juice of his fears could not be avoided. He knew what faced them in Arakeen. They would play a game once more with terrifying and deadly forces. It's now become war games. Shall we play a game?
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen a vision. These dumb fucks are going to buy Jodorowsky's Dune book.
Yeah.
It hasn't been put out yet.
In the past. So now we go back to Arakeen.
Yes, and Ollie is like watching people dancing, and they're like, they're from Ix. Why do they call it Ix? And this is a Seinfeld moment. Why do they call it Ix? When it's basically 9 in a lost language.
Yeah. What's the deal with Ix?
Why are they doing this?
All of the old
means 9. Not Ix. Yet the planet's called Ix. I don't get it.
It's totally that.
Although I love let them fill their minds with Gafla.
Yeah, I don't know what, I didn't have a chance to look that up. I thought that was, I remember like catching that and just being like,
yeah, I blew by it. I was like Gafla.com? That's a thing? Arabic word for negligence and heedlessness.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Oh, we're just using straight Arabic now.
Yeah. Well, they did that with Shaitan, right? I mean,
Gafla, Gafla, an illness of hearts. There is a website on it. Huh.
Is it like
But
West
in the
African
Dune
Tinder?
Wiki, Gafla is Chekopsa term meaning distraction.
Oh, Chekopsa is that? Yeah, okay.
Means anything that distracts one from God.
Ah, yeah. Well, dancing half-naked ladies would do that probably.
Alia sniffed. Those women were as ignorant and superstitious and backward as the Fremen.
Yeah, wow. No respect for anybody anymore for Alia.
She's a Karen.
She's turning into a Karen. It's really sad because she's so cool.
They also mentioned in one part that she was wearing her sheer dress and she was getting a little plump.
Mm-hmm.
Because the Baron probably like, ooh, what's that? Ooh, what's that? I picture the Baron being like the way he's written sometimes, being like Otho from Beetlejuice.
Oh. Ooh.
Yeah, like
it would be a different
and then
take.
all of a sudden doing
much...
the big dance of come Mr. Tallyman.
Yeah.
And then she started hearing them scream preacher and she's like, fucking how dare he? Like, not today.
Not this guy.
Zia comes in. She's like, Faradin wants an audience. She's like, here in my chamber? Is he alone? 2 bodyguards and Jessica. She's like, how impetuous. What does he want? I think to get a better view.
Yeah, he wants to see this.
She's like, I think he has heard the rumors. He wants to watch your reaction. She's like, my mother put him up to this.
Yeah.
I think it's always my mother. Like,
they don't have a great relationship. I mean, it's very much deteriorated.
And then she's like, have Faradin and his guards my mother men, then prepare to bring Ghanima. She is to be accoutred as a Fremen bride in every detail complete. She's like, with a knife? She's like, oh yeah, with a knife. My lady, that's Ghanima poses no threat. She's like, my lady, there's reason to believe she fled with Stilgar more to protect him than for any other. She's like, Zia, Ghanima has already made her plea for Stilgar's life, and Stilgar remains alive, but she's the heir presumptive. And she's just like, Zia, stop this.
Yeah. Less of this, more of this.
Yeah.
Less talky, more walkie.
Yeah. And then like the preacher's like, I found myself in the desert of Zan, in the waste of howling wilderness, and God commanded me to make that place clean. For we were provoked in the desert and grieved in the desert, and we were tempted in the wilderness to forsake our ways. And Holly is like, that's the name of the first trial of the Zensuni wanderers from whom the Fremen sprang. But his word, was he taking credit for the destruction wrought against the siege strongholds? He's like, wild beasts lie upon your lands.
Yeah, this is great. This whole sermon.
And the lady's like, help us, Mahdi, help us. And I just picture like the what you see in some of the like tent religion stuff. Throwing themselves on the ground.
Totally, yeah. I was thinking about that actually, like in this whole thing, how, and it doesn't totally fit, but there's the ways in which sort of like it's a reverse of the Bible, where like Paul is a little bit more of a New Testament God or Messiah, and Leto becomes an Old Testament God, like I am more powerful than you and I will crush you, basically.
Literally.
Yeah, exactly.
The preacher points his right hand at the old woman's head and goes, you are the only help remaining. You were rebellious. You brought the dry wind, which does not cleanse, nor does it cool. You bear the burden of our desert, and the whirlwind cometh from that place, from that terrible land. I have been in that wilderness. Water runs upon the sand from shattered quanets. Streams cross the ground. Water has fallen from the sky in the belt of Dune. Oh, my friends, God has commanded me. Make straight in the desert a highway for our Lord, for I am the voice. I swear to God, he must have gone to a faith healer or something.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
this is like, if they get to this movie, they just have to swap whoever is playing Paul out with like Daniel Day-Lewis or like somebody that can just really go for the back seats. You know what I mean? Like they just gotta
We're bringing Daniel Day-Lewis out of retirement to play Paul.
Just one scene preacher. As Paul. Yeah. There's probably other people that could work, but just you got to bring somebody that just really like.
Man, we got Jeff Bridges.
Yeah, oh God, yeah. Man.
Now that I said that, like Jeff Bridges could play like Ben Kingsley.
Yeah, sure, Ben Kingsley. Yeah, man.
Wait, did they get Gandhi? Hold up, just
wait a minute. Oh, this works better than I thought.
Wait, he's doing Trevor from the Iron
Man
but
he just does Trevor. Yeah,
he's a Mandarin.
That's the wrinkle.
Oh, Mr. President.
Yeah.
Well, the Braves were out. I can't even do the whole line.
Doing good. No, that's good.
And then the priests are coming towards him. They have a tight knot of yellow robes working down.
And they're just going to grab him.
And he's like, the waters which we spread upon the desert have become blood.
Yeah. Love that. That's amazing.
Blood upon our land. Behold our desert, which could rejoice and blossom. It has lured the stranger and seduced him in our midst. They come for violence. Their faces are closed up as for the last wind of Kralazek. They gather the captivity of the sand, and he is just angry God muttering.
Oh, yeah, he's just...
And Faradin's like, what is he doing?
Yeah.
And Holly is like, I don't fucking know. Like,
I like to imagine he's writing in his notebook this whole time, too, right?
My brother took shrooms and went in the desert. Like...
It's like, I only do
And-
drugs for religious reasons.
One blasphemy remains.
Yes.
Blasphemy in the name of that blasphemy is Alia. And shocked silence breaks out. And then a yellow-clad arm arose from the press of people. A crisp knife was brandished in its hand. She saw a knife strike downward, bury itself in the preacher's chest.
Are we supposed to? So I'm curious. What do you think? Are we supposed to think that like those priests that were going to just go get him, that one of them just lost it when he crossed that line and killed him?
I think so, because
that
they're
like
such religious zealots, especially.
Yeah.
I mean, they call her the fucking womb of heaven.
Right. Yeah. So that's kind of what. Yeah. I was thinking about that. Like, oh, it's just like he just made them snap because that wasn't part of the plan. At that moment, at least.
They also make sure to let you know that the temple doors are very heavy.
Yes.
The thunderous
Super
clang
heavy.
of the temple giant doors being closed broke Alia from her shock.
Yeah, and then that shit gets real.
And then people start screaming, Muad'Dib! They killed Muad'Dib!
Yeah.
And Alia's like, oh, God's below, God's below. And Jessica's like, a little late for that, bitch.
Yeah. That's a real like mom moment.
And
right?
Alia's like, that
like...
was Paul they killed. That was your son. When they confirm it, do you know what'll happen? And Jessica's like, I must not fear. Fear is the mind killer.
Yeah, I think in this last like chunk of the book, nobody has been able to like use that as any kind of
no, and
any
like,
kind of help.
Ollie is screaming for them to bring Ganima, and Jessica and Faradin's bodyguards closed in around the Carino Prince already. Like, there's about to be a showdown in there.
Oh yeah, and then
the bar snapped on the door. A thick plasteel construction meant to withstand terrible energies toppled into the room. Guards leaped to avoid it, drawing their weapons.
Yeah.
In the opening, two children.
Yep.
Ganima on the left, clad in her black betrothal outfit.
With her knife.
Yes.
A little, I feel like with, again, like going back to some echoes, like I get vibes of, little Alia going up to the Baron in the first book in her little black robe, right? With her Gom Jabbar to get him.
And this must be okay. Let's see. The family here to greet us, Leto said. Grandmother, he nodded to Jessica, shifted his attention to the Carino Prince. And this must be Prince Faradin. Welcome to Arrakis, Prince. Ganima's eyes appeared empty. She held her right hand on a ceremonial crisp knife at her waist, and she appeared to be trying to escape from Leto's grip on her arm. Leto shook her arm, and her whole body shook with it.
Again,
behold strong. Me, family. I am Ari, the Lion of the Atreides. And here again, yeah. He calls her Arya or Arya?
Arya? Yeah, something like that. Arya.
Yeah. The Atreides lioness. We come to set you onto Secher Nebui. Yeah, fuck me.
I know that word's tough. There's like the vowels are like not where they make sense for English.
The Golden Path.
The Golden Path, which is the secret word.
Yes.
She does that.
And then they drop slime on her because it was the secret word.
Oh. Like, why they get slimed? It's really weird part. It's really in the book, guys. We're not joking.
Why can't we do this on television? And the inner awareness of her mother hovering there behind it, a guardian at a gate, and Ganima knew in that instant that she had conquered the clamorous past. She possessed a gate through which she could peer when she needed the past. The months of self-hypnotic suppression had built for her a safe place through which to manage her own flesh. Leto released her arm. Ganima's like, did it work? He's like, well enough. Alia shouted at a clump of guards on her left to seize them. Leto bent, took the fallen door with one hand and skidded it across at their legs.
Pretty sick.
Yes, Jessica's like, what plan? He's like, the Golden Path, our Imperial plan for our Imperium. And he nodded to Faradin. He's like, don't think harshly of me, cousin. I act for you as well. Alia hoped to have Ganima slay you. I'd rather you lived out your life to some degree of happiness.
That's nice. He's your friend, actually. That's why he writes so nice about him.
And Leto's like, wait for me here, sister. I have a disagreeable task to perform.
Yeah, quite. And he like spins Aaliyah around basically, or Alia.
Yeah, he grabs her by the leg and just starts whirling her around, and she's screaming.
Ah!
And he's just like, "Well, I could have thrown you."
I kind of picture, in Willow, the wizard fight.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what is it now? What's the wizard's name? Anyway, yeah, the good lady wizard and then the evil queen lady, and where she's like spinning her around with her wand. That's what I picture.
Leto bent over and she's like, "I could have thrown you through a wall. Perhaps that would have been best, but we're now at the center of the struggle. You deserve your chance." And her eyes are dark. He's like, "I have conquered those inner lives. Look at Gani. She too can." And Ghanem interrupted, "Alia, I can show you." And she's like, "Nope." Her chest heaved and voices began to pour from her mouth. She started speaking in tongues.
Yeah.
All different voices. And then Jessica covered her eyes, felt Faraday's hand steady her. And she starts screaming, "I'll kill you. I'll drink your blood."
Yeah. It gets crazy here.
It
I was a lot more sad about this last little piece too. This time around, I think I felt it a little more. The tragedy of it.
She very much is a tragic character. And then the different voices. She's like, "Don't you know who I am?" She demanded. It was her old voice, the sweet and lilting voice of the youthful Alia, who is no more. "Why are you all looking at me that way?" She turned pleading eyes to Jessica. "Mother, make them stop it." Jessica can only shake her head from side to side, consumed by the horror. Grandmother Leto said, and there was pleading in his voice, "Must we have a trial of possession?" "Who are you to speak of trial?" Alia asked, and her voice was that of a querulous man, an autocratic and sensual man, far gone in self-indulgence.
Hey.
What are they talking about?
Probably good old Baron Arkoden.
Ghanema heard the same voice begin to echo in her own head, but the inner gate closed, and she sensed her mother standing there. Jessica remained silent. "The decision is mine," Leto said, "and the choice is yours. Alia, trial of possession or..." "Who are you to give me a choice?" And it was the voice of the Baron. "Demon, let her make her own choice." Mother, what are they doing? What do you want me to do? Help me." Leto ordered, "Help yourself."
It's very painful too, moment of her like pleading with her mother in like their last moments to help her.
The voice of the old Baron raged from her lips. Stop it, I say. I command you, stop it." Alia clutched her head, stumbled closer to the window. She had the sill against her thighs, but the voice still raved. "Don't do this. Stop it. Stop it. I'll help you. I have a plan. Listen to me. Stop it, I say. Wait." And Alia pulled her hands away from her head, clutched the broken casement. In one jerking motion, she pulled herself over, and the sill was gone. Not even a screech came from her as she fell. Leto looked at Jessica. "We told you to pity her." Jessica turned and buried her face in Faraday's tunic.
Yeah. They described the thump, which is pretty.
Yeah, and Leto is so kind of like matter-of-factly like, "Yeah, I told you. Like, you didn't listen to me."
Because he smashed the window. Like he was just like, "Okay, it's one or the other, and it's gonna be this because I know, because I can see everything."
The next chapter starts with a Faraday and Ghanema. And Ghanema's like, "He runs at night, cousin. He runs. Have you seen him run?" And basically he runs himself to tire himself out.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll come back and rest his head in her lap. Ask our mother within to find a way for me to die.
Right, yeah. I feel like that's a very quick but important moment there.
It's like he's miserable. Like he knows what he's become.
Yeah. His skin is not his own. He's not human. He's a 9-year-old.
Yeah.
Because they don't really explore that. I mean, I guess they do a little bit, but these are children, but they do have like their ancestors in their mind. But there's got to be some kind of like your mind reconciling that. Like you can't. Being an adult isn't just the sum of like experiences, is it? There's got to be like something else there.
Just imagine like you're his twin sister and he's coming there and going, "Can you ask mom how to kill me?"
Yeah, like it's so dark. These books are dark.
The only thing next would be like The Shining, where it's like Tony and run.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, totally. And that's the thing. I was like, these always sort of invert, the Messiah story, the like superhero super powerful being story of like at the end of that super being is a sad person and has a horrible life.
So Faradin's like, I don't understand you. Find a way for him to die. And she's like, he asked me to prepare you. Ganma said, not for the first time. She was struck by the curious innocence of the Carino prince. Was that Jessica's doing or something for him? She's like, for what? He's no longer human. Yesterday you asked when he was going to remove the living skin. Never. It's part of him now.
Nope.
And he's part of it. Leto estimates he has perhaps 4,000 years before metamorphosis destroys him. 4,000 years.
Quite a while.
And Faradin's like,
Poor Kate.
And she's like, you see why he runs, but if he'll live so long and be so because the memory of being human is so rich in him. Think of all those lives, cousin. No, you can't imagine what that is because you've no experience of it. I can imagine his pain. He gives more than anyone ever gave before. Our father walked into the desert trying to escape it. Alia became abomination in fear of it. Our grandmother has only the blurred infancy of this condition, yet must use every Bene Gesserit while to live with it, which is what Reverend Mother training amounts to anyway. But Leto, he's all alone. He'll never be duplicated.
Nope.
Jessica knows, Ganema said, looking across at her grandmother. He told her last night he called himself the first truly long-range planner in human history.
A little bit of a clumsy line, but it works though.
Yeah, it was like long-range planner. Like, I'm gonna have a party in 4,000 years, and it's gonna be awesome.
He's a super bureaucrat, basically. I mean, that's what he becomes in a way. The ultimate bureaucrat.
What does he plan? The golden path. He'll explain to you later. And he has a role for me as my mate, Ganema said. He's taking over the Sisterhood's breeding program. I'm sure my grandmother told you about the Bene Gesserit dream of a male reverend with extraordinary powers.
Yeah.
He's you mean we're just to be? And she's like, not just. She took his arm, squeezed it with a warm, familiar. He'll have many very responsible tasks for both of us when we're not producing children, that is. Well, you're a little young. And she's like, don't ever make that mistake again.
Yeah, right. That's like what she does there.
Like, and he's like, Tayek tells me the fighting has spread off planet. The central temple on Byrok is under siege. Faradin thought her oddly calm in this statement. He'd reviewed the reports. And then she's like, here's Stilgar now. They've been waiting for him. And this is another one of those weird fucking moments where, like, Stilgar's not sure if this motherfucker is going to try and kill him.
Right, yeah. He's not sure where he stands.
He kind of insults him. He's like, oh, is that all you bring? He's like, well, like, we're poor now. Like,
yeah. That's all we got. But it's a significant trinket that he brings him. Right.
Yeah. And then
like, this is what she wore in the desert when you were taking care of her.
Yeah, he ripped off a piece of her robe and goes, here you go.
Yeah. Is this where they mentioned that he has a jar of his dad's water up on the...
I believe that's next.
That's the next part. Sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. And Leto will control the spice. He'll control it absolutely. Peace will endure and endure and endure. Memory of war will all but vanish. Leto will lead humankind through that garden. And he'll say, I'll not sell the Sardaukar. No need, Ganema said. Do you listen to this child? Tyanik demanded. He was outraged. Ganema smiled grimly. He said, tell him, Faradin. Faradin sighed. He was like, later, Tayek. I gotta talk to people.
Yeah, I got stuff to do now.
Stilgar's like, he talks of peace and death in the same breath. Golden Age. Ganema's like, he'll lead humans through the cult of death into the free air of exuberant life. It's gonna be a couple of hard years, but we'll get through it.
Yeah.
Then Ganema's like, oh, the worms will come back. Like, all will be dead within 200 years, but they'll come back.
Yeah.
And he's like, how? She's like, you'll make it through some lean years, only then because of stockpiles and ours, but there'll be abundance after Kralizak. The worms will return after my brother goes into the sand.
Yeah, which is a very weird, like, what?
Yeah, very matter-of-factly.
You're not giving enough contextual information here. You're just saying weird words.
The ceremony And the lion throne went on for hours.
Mm-hmm.
He'd cowed them into submission the previous week, performing for the assembled Arifa of all tribes. The judges had seen him walk through a pit of fire, emerging unscathed to demonstrate that his skin bore no marks by asking them to study him closely. He had ordered them to strike him with knives, and the impenetrable skin had sealed his face while they struck at him to no avail. Acid ran off of him with only the slightest mist of smoke. He'd eaten their poisons and laughed at them.
Yeah.
At the end, he'd summoned a worm and stood facing them at its mouth. He'd moved from that to the landing field at Arakeen, where he'd brazenly toppled a guild frigate by lifting it off one of its fins.
Wild.
Feats of strength.
Yeah, it's Festivus on Arrakis.
Jessica just watched through a spy hole, just like, oh boy, like.
Yeah, she's wigged out probably at this point.
Yeah, and a giant canopic jar containing the water of Muad'Dib occupied a place of honor at his right elbow. He'd boasted to Jessica that his father within laughed at this gesture even while admiring it. That jar and the boasting had firmed her resolve not to participate.
Yeah,
she knew she could never accept Paul speaking through Leto's mouth. She rejoiced that House Atreides had survived, but the things that might have been were beyond bearing.
Yeah.
Faradin sat cross-legged beside the jar. It was the position of the royal scribe, an honor newly conferred and newly accepted. Faradin was adjusting nicely to it.
Just
Stilgar.
Is this,
go ahead.
Is this where? Oh no, I guess they say it at the end here. Never mind. I'm getting ahead of myself. Sorry. Go ahead.
I know you've fallen on hard times, Stilgar. Is there something here you would have in return? He gestured to the piles of costly gifts. No, my lord, I accept your gift then. In return, I give you this bit of Ganama's robe, the robe she wore when she was stolen from your desert camp, forcing me to save her. And he's like, do you mock me? He's like, mock you? By my name, Stilgar, never would I mock you. I have given you a gift without price. I command you to carry it always next to your heart as a reminder that all humans are prone to error and all leaders are human. And what a naive you would have made. What a naive I am. Naive of naives. Yeah. Never forget that.
Naives. Yeah, naive of naives.
As you say, my lord. And he thought, once I thought of slaying him, now it's too late.
That's right. Like the beginning of this book.
Yep.
He talked about killing 2 kids. And now, because he didn't.
That is water of my tribe, and mine, Leto said. I command you to read the inscription upon its side. Read it aloud, that all may hear it. Stilgar cast a questioning glance at Ganama, but she returned it with a lift of her chin, a cold response which sent a chill through him. Were these Atreides imps bent on holding him to answer for his impetuosity and his mistake? Read it, Leto said. Slowly he read. The water is the ultimate essence, a source of outward streaming creativity. Though motionless, the water is the means of all movement. What does it mean, my lord? Stilgar whispered. He felt awed by the words, touched within himself in a place he could not understand. The body of Muad'Dib is a dry shell, like that abandoned by an insect. He mastered the inner world while holding the outer in contempt, and this led to catastrophe. He mastered the outer world while excluding the inner world, and this delivered his descendants to the demons. The golden elixir will vanish from Dune, yet Muad'Dib's seed goes on, and his water moves our universe. And eventually, Everything But the Girl will put out I Miss You, like a desert mystery.
Like a desert mystery, yeah. Direct line from this to that.
Yes. Stilgar bowed his head. The beginning and the end are one. You live in air, but do not see it. A phase is closed. One of that closing grows. The beginning is of its opposite. Thus, we will have Kralazek. Yes. Everything returns later in changed form. And he's like, don't you trust me, my lord? Stilgar's voice was low. Completely. Else I'd not send Gurney to you. He'll begin recruiting the new force we'll need soon. I accept your pledge of fealty, Stilgar. You are dismissed.
Later.
Yeah.
Then we find out some messed up stuff.
Yeah, Leto spoke to Faraday. He's like, did you get all that, scribe? He's like, yep. My grandmother tells me she trained you well in the mnemonic processes of the Bene Gesserit. That's good. I don't want you scribbling beside me. He's like, come and stand before me. He's like, okay, yeah, sure. You've not agreed to give me your Sardaukar, but you will. I owe you much, but not that. You think they not mate well with my Fremen? as well as those new friends, Stilgar and Tyanek. Yet you refuse. I await your offer. Then I must make the offer knowing you will never repeat it. I pray my grandmother has done her part well, that you are prepared to understand. What must I understand? There's always prevailing mystique in any civilization.
Yeah, I like this whole thing about mystique. It's kind of an interesting.
Yeah, he's like, it builds itself as a barrier against change, and that always leaves future generations unprepared for the universe's treachery. All mystiques are the same in building these barriers: the religious mystique, the hero leader mystique, the messiah mystique, the mystique of science, technology, and the mystique of nature itself. We live in an imperium which such a mystique has shaped, and now that imperium is falling apart because most people don't distinguish between mystique and their universe. You see, the mystique is like demon possession. It tends to take over the consciousness, because becoming all things to the observer. Well and good, cousin. She asked me if I were abomination. I answered in the negative. That is my first treachery. You see, Ganma escaped this, but I did not. I was forced to balance the inner lives under the pressure of excessive melange. I had to seek the active cooperation of those aroused lives within me. Doing this, I avoided the most malignant and chose a dominant helper thrust upon me by the inner awareness, which was my father. I am not in truth my father or this helper. Then again, I am not the second Leto. Explain. You have an admirable directness. I am a community dominated by one who is ancient and surpassingly powerful. He fathered a dynasty which endured for 3,000 of our years. His name was Harum, and until his line trailed out in the congenital weaknesses and superstitions of a descendant, his subjects lived in a rhythmic sublimity. They moved unconsciously with the changes of the seasons. They bred individuals who tended to be short-lived, superstitious, and easily led by a god king.
God king.
I looked into this. They were powerful people.
I was gonna say I looked into this a little bit, and I saw like speculation among, I guess, fans that like Harum could refer to Hammurabi, potentially, who was a Babylonian king. But it's kind of just left for us to wonder.
Yeah. Faraday's like, I don't like the sound of that. And Leto's like, nah, nor do I, but it's the universe I'll create. Why? It's a lesson I learned on Dune. We kept the presence of death and dominant specter among the living here, but that presence, the dead, changed the living. Faraday's like, it doesn't answer my question. You don't trust me, cousin? Nor does your own grandmother. He's like, good reason. Like, he's like, I agree to be your scribe. It amused you and flattered your real talent, which is that of historian. You're a definite genius for reading the present in terms of the past. You've anticipated me on several occasions. I don't like your veiled insinuations. He's like, good. You come from infinite ambition to your present lowered estate. Oh, God. Like,
now he's talking down to everybody.
Yeah.
Rude. I guess that's what happens when you're a Superman.
And he was like, I have no such reflexive blindness. Look carefully at me, Faradin, for I am no longer human. So your sister assures me. Then abomination? By the sisterhood's definition, perhaps. Harum is cruel and autocratic. I partake of his cruelty. Mark me well. I have the cruelty of the husbandman. And this human universe is my farm. Fremen once kept tame eagles as pets, but I'll keep a tame Faradin.
Wow. Just real. That hurts, probably.
And Faradin's like, beware my claws, cousin. I well know my Sardaukar would fall in time before your Fremen, but we'd wound you sorely, and there are jackals waiting to pick off the weak. And Leto's like, I will use you well, that I promise. Did I not say I'm no longer human? Believe me, cousin, no children will spring from my loins, for I no longer have loins.
I like how he's just like, because no loins.
No junk.
No junk. Got nothing.
Like, I can't pee. I just blow oxygen out my asshole and cause
chemical
fire.
Farts. Chemical tummy oxygen farts.
And he's like, and this forces my second treachery. And Faradin's like, go on. I shall go against every Fremen precept they will accept because they can do nothing else. I kept you here under the lure of a betrothal, but there will be no betrothal of you and Ganma. My sister will marry me. And he's like, he's like, marry, I said. Ganma must continue the Atreides line. They're also the matter of the Bene Gesserit breeding program, which is now my breeding program. Faradin's like, I refuse. He's like, you refuse to father an Atreides dynasty? What dynasty? You'll occupy the throne for thousands of years. and mold your descendants in my image. It will be the most intensive and most inclusive training program of all history. Come to Globo Gym.
Yeah, geez, what? So messed up.
And Faraday's like, you put fancy words on the most distasteful. He's like, who will survive Kralizak? I promise you, Kralizak will come. You're a madman. You will shatter the Empire. Of course I will. And I'm not a man.
Yeah, he doesn't
But
deny
I'll create a
any
new
of these
consciousness
things.
in all men. I tell you that below the desert of Dune, there's a secret place with the greatest treasure of all time. I do not lie. When the last worm dies and the last melange is harvested upon our sands, these deep treasures will spring up throughout our universe as the power of the spice monopoly fades and the hidden stockpiles make their mark. New powers will appear throughout our realm. It is time humans learn once more to live with their instincts. As my mother was not wife, you will not be husband, but perhaps there will be love, and that will be enough. Each day, each moment brings its change, Ghanima said. One learns by recognizing the moments. And Faradin felt the warmth of Ghanima's tiny hand.
Again, 9.
Yeah, he recognized the ebb and flow of Leto's argument, but not once had voice been used.
Yep.
Is that what you offer for my Sardaukar? Much, much more, cousin. I offer you your descendants the Imperium. I offer you peace. What will be the outcome of your peace? It's opposite. I find the price for my Sardaukar very high. Must I remain scribe, the secret father of your royal line? You must. Will you try to force me into your habit of peace? I will. I'll resist you every day of my life, but that's the function I expect of you, cousin. It's why I chose you. I'll make it official. I will give you a new name.
Yeah, here we go.
From this moment, you'll be called Breaking of the Habit, which in our tongue is Hark al-Ada. Come, cousin, don't be obtuse. My mother taught you well. Give me your Sardaukar. Give them, Ghanima echoed. Yeah. He'll have them one way or another.
And so
heard fear.
For everybody out there, the Hark al-Ada is the
new Irulan.
Yeah, the new Irulan. He's many of the quotes at the beginning of chapters are attributed to Hark al-Ada, and this is where we realize who that is.
And Faradin heard fear for himself and her voice. Love then. Leto asked, not for reason, but for an intuitive leap. Take them, Faradin said. Indeed, Leto said. He lifted himself from the throne, a curiously fluid motion, as though he kept terrible powers under most delicate control. Leto stepped down to Ghanima, then to Ghanima's level, moved her gently until she faced away from him, turned and placed his back against hers. Note this, cousin. This is the way it will always be with us. We'll stand thus when we are married, back to back, each looking outward from the other to protect the one thing which we have always been. He turned, looked mockingly at Faradin, lowered his voice. Remember that, cousin, when you're face to face with my Ghanima. Remember that when you whisper of love and soft things, when you're most tempted by the habits of my peace and my contentment, your back will remain exposed. Turning from them, he strode down the steps into the waiting quarters. Ghanima once more took Faradin's hand, but her gaze looked beyond the far end of the hall. Long after Leto had left it, one of us had to accept the agony, she said, and he was always the stronger.
Yeah.
So
dark.
I take back where I said that he was a sympathetic character.
Right, that's the thing. It's like he maybe. I mean, I've heard different ways of reading this too, right? Because I've heard people push back on the white savior sort of element of it as saying like, well, no, these Paul and then Leto, and maybe they're not talking about Leto, but that they're trapped by their powers basically. Which except to me, like I don't
goes headlong into this.
Yeah, I mean, he makes a choice, and I guess it's supposed to be the right choice for the universe, but
and if they foreshadow early, is like, you're gonna really regret when I get into office.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
like for thousands of years, you're gonna regret this.
Yeah, like it's gonna be terrible, and yeah, and then we're like, yeah, it'll smash everything. It'll be this and that, but it'll be better at the end afterwards.
Like literally, his big thing is, I'm going to make people stagnate and drive them nutty because they're not going to be able to travel.
Right.
He's basically doing COVID lockdown on the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Which seems like, well, isn't that what we have now? But it's like, well, but in a universe where you have interstellar travel, it would be very like imagine if you couldn't, leave your house.
Yeah,
Which
like
it's
literally
probably
he's
not hard
like,
to imagine, is it, folks?
which
'Cause
he's
you
that's why
probably
he's telling people, he's like, oh no, stockpile the spice for me.
yeah.
Like, I don't give a fuck about everybody else, but like, and by the way, my castle better be built.
Yeah.
This place, I need you guys like to build my house on Shulak. This is gonna become my um Camp David.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, it's Camp David.
I'm gonna need a golf course. You guys don't know what that is, but I've lived in past lives. So.
Yeah, right. Jack Nicklaus is one of his descendants.
I could drive the ball very hard with my superpowers.
Oh man, I bet he would be good at that.
Probably. You'd be like, you didn't know this, but I have Tiger Woods in me.
Yes, the grim shape of history. I like that. Yeah.
100%, especially if you read or watch some of the interviews with him, where he has horrible problems with charismatic leaders, especially John F. Kennedy.
Yeah.
For some reason, that's the guy who pisses him off the most.
It had to be there, I think.
Yeah, definitely this one. I kind of feel at this point I kind of enjoyed Dune Messiah a little bit more. The intrigue was like a little bit more fun, but I think that was because of the Ixian character, the Tleilaxu.
Yeah, Cytail.
Cytail, because he was such an interesting like character because he was kind of all over the place.
Right. And I definitely read criticism of this book of sort of reverting to like the villain from the first book in a way. Some people had a problem with that, which I guess I could see. I mean, I think it is distinct from that, but I could see the criticism.
I mean, the corruption of children, maybe.
Yeah, that's a whole. Well, then, yeah, and that's a whole new wrinkle brought to it.
Yeah.
But
he was reading Seduction of the Innocent, and he was like, "It's not comic books."
Yeah, it's prescience.
Yes,
that's what'll mess up the kids.
Hey, honey, what is a word for erection? I don't know. Beef swelling. By the way, I'm making beef Wellington.
It's got to be connected. It's got to be connected.
Beef Swellington. It's going to be a thing.
Yeah, I kind of agree with that too. I think it's just a very tight story too, like just narratively.
Yes, it's so small because
I
mean we finished that one fairly quick. Also, I think all the different people coming together in the conspiracy, and just Paul moping around, going, "Yeah, I know this is gonna happen. I can't do anything. Oh, it's Duncan, Idaho, like a goal of him. Fuck.
Yeah.
I had twins. I didn't see that. Fuck."
Yeah, all that stuff. Like, well, and also it's kind of an interesting, like, what happens when the superhero, he's superheroes for a while. And, and then he actually kind of sucks being this, and maybe I'm not so powerful, and
and then your kid becomes Damien from the
exactly, yeah.
Like, thank God Paul didn't have to live to see him become what he becomes.
Right. You either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become a sad boy that has to walk into the desert.
Well, that, or you live long enough to become a 4,000-year-old fucking giant sandworm with a human head.
Yeah, or that. Yeah.
And like, I don't remember in God Emperor if they really talk much about like Ghanima and like the kids she had with Hark al-Ada. But like, how much worse could it be? Like, not only does Faradin not really get the girl,
oh yeah,
but he loses his name and lineage in the same fucking shot.
Yeah, exactly. Damn. He thought he was gonna get it all. He got nothing.
And Irulan's kind of like not even like in this ending. I just see her going, Know how that goes. Didn't take my name at least.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good thing that that's who's taking care of Ganaba, because they have a lot to talk about.
See if you can top 200 books on one character. Well, I'm done, guys.
Yeah, I'm retiring.
Fuck you.
I sold the Distrans rights to all my books.
Yeah. Thank you, everybody, for sitting with us for 2 hours on this.
Thank you.
And Scott for hanging in through the madness of the last
that's great.
2 books. Unfortunately, we haven't had Jen for a lot of the episode. We really haven't had Sid for a lot of episodes, but we managed to truck along and keep going. I definitely want to take at least a month off before we start the next one and just kind of decompress, because this book is small compared to God Emperor.
Yeah, that's true.
Like way smaller. So eventually season 4 will start and we will be getting into God Emperor, which I'm pretty sure Sid will just say, fuck that, I'm not doing it. That is the book that broke her. Because it's so fucking depressing.
Oh, good.
It's slow moving, and for anybody who wants to get a touch of it, the Grim Adventures of Billy and Mandy had an episode where Mandy became basically the God Emperor, and she was smashing little Billies. Very, very like horrible cartoon. I mean, the cartoon's awesome, but like it's very dark. But thank you, everybody, and we will see you next season. Bye-bye.
Bye.